Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, buckle up because we're diving deep into a story that could shake up the NFC North and set the Detroit Lions on a new trajectory that might just lead them even closer to the Super Bowl. And no, this isn't just another off-season rumor or a minor player movement. We're talking about a potential blockbuster involving a rising star in the NFL, a player whose future in Cincinnati might be more uncertain than ever, and a major trade opportunity that could elevate the Lions' defense to new heights. Let's start with the big picture. The Detroit Lions, for those who have been following them closely, have been building something special. After years of struggles, they've assembled a talented roster filled with young stars, veteran leaders, and a coaching staff that's proven it can develop talent and make smart moves. The arrival of Jared Goff has been a game-changer. The offense is dynamic, and the defense, led by Aiden Hutchinson and a revamped secondary, has shown flashes of becoming one of the league's most formidable units. But as we all know, in the NFL, it's never just about what you have, but what you can add. And that's where this story about Shemar Stewart comes into play. Shemar Stewart is a name that's been buzzing around the NFL circles for some time now. A highly touted edge rusher from Texas A&M, Stewart's combination of size, speed, and raw talent has caught the attention of many GMs and scouts. When the Lions were doing their top 30 visits ahead of the 2025 draft, Stewart was one of the first names they brought in. That's a pretty clear indication that Detroit had their eye on him. And it's not just about the visit, it's about what it signals. They saw something in Stewart, potential that could be unlocked with the right coaching and development. Now, here's where things get interesting. After the draft, Lions GM Brad Holmes was quite candid in interviews, revealing that Detroit had tried multiple times to trade up to secure an edge rusher like Stewart. But as Holmes explained, it takes two to trade. And unfortunately, no other teams were willing to move their picks or give Detroit the deal they wanted. That's a common story in the NFL draft. Teams are often reluctant to part with premium assets unless they see a clear value. But Holmes's comments hinted that Detroit was very interested, and perhaps they saw Stewart as a perfect fit for their defensive future. Fast forward a few months, and the story doesn't end there. Stewart's draft stock was rising, and he was selected in a range where Detroit couldn't quite get to him unless they made a deal. Interestingly, Stewart was the only edge rusher that Detroit brought in for a visit who was picked just outside their range. That's a telltale sign that the Lions were very high on him. And crucially, Stewart's name has continued to be linked to Detroit even after the draft. The question now is whether Detroit can still make that move happen, and the answer might be yes, if the right circumstances align. The biggest twist in this story revolves around Stewart's current situation with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Cincinnati is known for their stubbornness when it comes to negotiations and player management. And in this case, the Bengals are trying to handle Stewart in a way that's raising eyebrows across the league. They're attempting to sign him to an unprecedented deal, one that would give them the ability to void all future guarantees if Stewart were to encounter any off-field issues. Now, let's be clear, Shemar Stewart has no off-field issues. No arrests, suspensions, nothing of the sort. This is purely a contract dispute, a power play by Cincinnati that's causing some real concern for Stewart. Because of this, Stewart left Cincinnati's minicamp early, and there's speculation that he might skip training camp altogether. Some insiders even suggest he might consider sitting out the season, possibly returning to Texas A&M to train and prepare for the 2026 draft. That's a bold move, and it's understandably causing tension in Cincinnati. The Bengals are known for their tough negotiations, and they're trying to set a precedent with Stewart, one that's designed to give them leverage but might end up backfiring. The league is watching closely because this isn't just about one player. It's about how teams are handling rookie contracts and negotiations in a new era of NFL deals. So, what can the Detroit Lions do in all this? Well, if they want to seize the opportunity, they could approach Cincinnati and make a compelling trade offer. And here's a hypothetical proposal that could work. Detroit offers a first-round pick in the 2026 draft, and in return, Cincinnati agrees to send Stewart to Detroit. Yes, it's a steep price. Giving up a first-rounder is never easy, but when you're adding a player with Stewart's potential, an elite edge rusher who could complement Hutchinson perfectly, it might be worth it. The Lions would be getting a player who's still very young, with room to grow, and who has already shown flashes of dominance. Imagine Stewart lining up opposite Hutchinson, forming a duo that could terrorize quarterbacks for years to come. That could elevate Detroit's defense from good to elite, making them a real contender in the NFC. But it's not just about adding talent, it's about the strategic move that signals to the league and the division that Detroit is serious about winning now. It's a statement move that could shift the balance of power in the NFC North, especially if the Lions continue to improve on both sides of the ball and make smart offseason moves. Now, I've been talking to some sources close to Cincinnati, including a Bengals reporter named John Sheeran, and what he told me sheds some light on the situation. According to Sheeran, Cincinnati's stance on Stewart hinges on leverage. They're not just trying to be difficult for the sake of it, they're trying to set a precedent, making it clear that they're in control of negotiations. He pointed out that Stewart's only leverage right now is his talent, and without a guaranteed deal, he doesn't have much power. The Bengals seem willing to stall, elongate negotiations, and even risk him sitting out or returning to college rather than give him what he wants. This is where the Lions could step in. If Cincinnati is truly open to offers, Detroit should be at the front of the line. They have the assets, the draft capital, and the motivation to get Stewart into their system. It's a move that could reshape the defensive line and give the Lions a real edge in their quest for a Super Bowl. Remember, Detroit has been building a culture of winning, and adding Stewart would be a clear statement of intent. And it's not just about Stewart himself. The entire narrative around NFL teams and rookie contracts is shifting. More players are willing to hold out or negotiate harder, and teams are trying to find a balance between holding firm and making smart investments. The Lions, with their smart front office, are always looking for opportunities to strike deals that elevate the team. They've shown that they're not afraid to make bold moves, and this situation with Stewart might be the perfect storm for a blockbuster trade. Looking at the bigger picture, the Lions' defense has potential. It's young, fast, and aggressive. Hutchinson is already establishing himself as a top-tier pass rusher, and adding a player like Stewart would give Detroit a formidable duo that could dominate the NFC for years. Plus, with the offensive weapons they have on offense, a solid defense could be the missing piece that pushes them over the top. The NFC is wide open, and the Lions are positioning themselves to be serious contenders. Now, fans, I want to emphasize that all of this is still speculative. Nothing is set in stone yet, but the signs point to a very real possibility that Detroit could make this move happen. The story of Stewart and Cincinnati is still unfolding, and the offseason is a perfect time for the Lions to strike if they believe the price is right. And honestly, it's a move that could pay off big time. Think about the headlines if Detroit pulls this off, adding a top young talent and making a bold statement that they're here to compete at the highest level. That's exactly the kind of move that can define a franchise's future. So, Lions fans, keep your eyes glued to this story. It's one of the most exciting developments in the NFL right now, and it's happening right in our backyard. This is the kind of move that can turn a good team into a great one, and I know all of you are just as eager as I am to see how it unfolds. Will Detroit make the deal? Will Cincinnati change their stance? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. The offseason just got a whole lot more interesting, and the Lions are right at the center of it. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Detroit Lions news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Looking ahead, the Lions have a lot to consider in the coming months. They need to evaluate their draft strategy, potential trade targets, and how they can continue to build a roster capable of competing for a Super Bowl. The addition of Stewart, if it happens, would be a bold statement, one that signals Detroit's serious intentions. It would also send a message to the rest of the league that the Lions are not just content with being playoff contenders. They want to be champions. It's about creating a culture of winning, of smart, aggressive moves that put them ahead of the curve. And let's not forget, the NFL is a league of storylines. The drama, the negotiations, the draft day surprises, it all adds to the excitement. For Lions fans, this story about Stewart and Cincinnati is one of the most compelling narratives of the offseason. Will the Lions be able to capitalize on this opportunity? Can they persuade Cincinnati to part ways with one of their promising young talents? It's a high-stakes game, and Detroit is certainly playing it with a lot of smarts and patience. As we continue to follow this development, I'll be bringing you all the latest updates, analysis, and insider info. The Lions' front office has proven they're willing to think outside the box, and this could be the move that propels them into a new era of dominance. The NFC North is no longer just about the Packers or Vikings. With a move like acquiring Stewart, Detroit could become the team to beat, setting the stage for years to come. So, Lions faithful, stay tuned, stay passionate. This offseason is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent memory, and no matter how it unfolds, one thing is certain. The Detroit Lions are not backing down. They're ready to take their shot at greatness, and with the right moves, they might just be on the cusp of something truly special. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive into what could be a game-changing move for the Lions. Remember, I'll be back soon with more updates, more analysis, and more reasons to believe in this team. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Detroit Lions. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Detroit Lions news.